evening and welcome to No Clue. How are we all doing?
Good, you?
Good evening.
So this week we are joined by Pete.
Hi, Pete.
AKA Mike Brewer.
This one.
I'm in a bog. In homage.
Right now.
Homage
Yeah.
to Mr. Brewer.
Lance, do you want to tell the story about the bog? Or Mike, would you like to perhaps talk about the...
Tell us about the bog, Mike.
Well, so I was out, we were at Bravo, Eversley, I think it was. And I was commanding in the field and it was not going particularly well. So I thought I'd make my way back to the safe zone where I normally do my command from. Thought I'd take a shortcut. It was a very, very deep shortcut. 1 minute I was walking and the next minute I was floating pretty much up to my chest in bog. My gat went in the water. Yeah, it was not a pretty sight. And then I think I had some of the whiskey boys interrogate me, and that was fun.
Oh,
all I wanted to do was get out, and they stood there pointing their guns at me, and yeah, I had a real sense of humour failure.
yeah, that's understandable. I'll give you that.
Yeah. But stank, yeah. Oh, it was horrible.
Nice.
Horrible.
Well, these
So
things are sent to testers, aren't they?
Exactly.
So, Lance, you're obviously recording from the bog this evening.
I am. I'm live for the. I do agree with Mike. It stinks. Fucking rotten it is. So I can only imagine what it was like for him to be balls deep in it.
It was not pleasant. It was cold as well.
Hi, Andrew, Fresh Meat, Les, Danny, Terry, Andy, Rage, Philip, Jade, and Harry. Nice to see you. If anyone's got any questions for Mike...
Oh, sorry, Morning Phil.
Oh, sorry, Morning Phil. Yeah, of course. If anyone's got any questions for Mike throughout the episode, feel free to throw them in the chat. We have some news.
We do have news.
Do you want to do your science news first, Lance? You're like the science correspondent.
I did science. Dun, 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 dun. So, science. I did science this evening, about 20 minutes ago, actually, following Terry's answer to a question last week regarding the weight of belt kit that they used to train in. I think there was a couple of other chaps talking about it. And I think I've got, from last week, 35 pounds of kit. Now, I weighed my belt kit tonight, and, well, all in all, they used to carry 35 pounds worth of kit if they were tabbing or doing training, blah, blah, blah. So my webbing set comes in at 18 pounds, and my main riff comes in at 10 pounds. So I've got 28 pound in total, which I don't think is too bad. You know, what am I off there? I'm almost 7 pounds off the actual stuff. So with a few other little bits and bobs, I reckon I could be matching that, maybe a shade under. So yeah, that was my science. I did science with scales and everything, accurate scales. I didn't just guess it. I actually used instruments. I was very impressed with myself. I didn't take any pictures of it though. I really
hope you put a lab coat on.
I've got no proof of me doing it. No, what I did do though is I got completely naked and just put my dressing gown on.
He did.
Inside out, because it's a lighter colour than the outside, so it was as close to a white lab coat as I was going to get. So there we go. That's the science corner done with for tonight. Thank you.
Oh, hang on. Danny says send nudes.
No, that's not happening. Not again.
Danny says, Mike, where's your cup you set out? So my cup's dirty, unfortunately, from last week. I haven't cleaned it yet. So we're sponsored by Starbucks this week.
Oh dear, controversial.
Sorry about that, Danny. It's still here though. It's there. It's just
I've got my cup, Danny. Don't worry. Just got to try and hold it. I can't drink it like that though, because I can't in my hand. Because need a rethink on the printing. Because I can't.
I think you should try.
Here we go. That's difficult. The beard caught most of that.
Rage said, it should be said though that when we were tabbing with all that kit when we were younger, our knees worked and we hadn't eaten all the pies.
That's a fair point. So I'm trying to do that now with all their ailments.
Right, other news. We now have reviews on the website.
We do.
So this is something that we're going to be expanding on. So there are now full written reviews on there. So you can find them on lance.com or novemberfoxtrot.co.uk/reviews. It's a little tab at the end, and then there's a series of reviews. There's 3 on there at the moment. We are working on it. But the reviews have sort of a more in-depth. So we obviously talk about products on the show. There are more in-depth review. So a lot more sort of detail, prices, bits and pieces like that. And we are only going to be reviewing stuff that we've tested there's a minimum of three events. And I think we were calling that, I can't remember what we called it now. Was that our used and
No
no reviews
till it's used and abused.
That's our guarantee. I put that on the website as our guarantee.
There it is. That's it. Yeah. So it's not, we don't get stuff sent to us and I'll say it's great and I'll give you a hand job. It's although that would be, I'm definitely open to that if there is any companies offering that service out there. So it's stuff that we've bought, things that we like and use all the time, and it's like, well, let's review it. That's why some of the kit that we're going to be putting up here, to us, it's going to be like a year and a half old, because we've actually been using it that long, but we've not had the platform until now to sort of put reviews up and stuff like that. So it's going to be genuine kit that we've bought, that we really like, that we review. There we go, my new ones there, shiny, smelling great for about a week or so, and they will smell of arse.
So there's a search function on. We actually have a search function on this as well. So you can actually have a look through and find stuff. Although interestingly, that's not clickable. Oh, there you go. So you can actually search the reviews as well. So if there's something, once we've got 200 on there, if you're looking for something in particular, use the search function. You'll be able to find that, and you can also give it a little like if you like to. So there you go. Little cheeky like there. So yeah, any questions? Give us a shout. But basically, more interesting stuff on the website.
Les Hands. Oh, Les Hands, yeah. Mr. Hands Hill A-pop. Yeah.
What, you're giving out blowjobs. Oh, hand jobs, sorry.
Are we? Oh, Christ. Sorry. No. Whoa.
I just upgraded it.
Mike's saying, hand job, we're going to go to the next level now.
Right, cool. So that's that over and done with. move on from hand jobs pretty quick. So obviously Mike's here this week. We are going to be talking about commander, team leaders, and radio operators. So it's the first in a new sort of mini series of MilSim Roles. There'll be other episodes coming out, sort of different roles, but tonight go straight into commanding role. So what's our interpretation of the role? You two obviously do it probably a lot more than I do. So Mike, go for it. What do you think?
So from my point of view, it's trying to organise the unorganisable.
That's
herding cats.
Yeah, it's a bit like that sometimes. It's just trying to keep a tab on everyone, really, where they are, what they're doing, how they're feeling, morale, stuff like that, taskings, all the rest of it. It's a little bit different for when I'm working with JTF on the Octo games, because normally I'm out of game, so it's a little bit easier for me, as I don't have to worry about being in contact and all the rest of it. So I'm solely concentrating on what the guys are doing and objectives and stuff like that. But from my point of view, it's just keeping the guys motivated and active and making sure everyone's doing something, and I know where they are and what they're doing.
Do you find, Mike, with when you're running a role for, say, like the Octo games and things like that, you're the sort of JTF OC, do you find you're given a bit of a free rein to sort of like when it comes to the ops and patrols and things like that, or have you got are you sort of like regimented in
kind of
being done at certain times? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. So we're given intel. So normally it's Tim on PMC. So we're both generally given the intel at the same time, and then it's a bun fight to see who gets there the quickest, or it's pretty much. I am given free reign. I can get the guys to do what I want. If I want them to send them to a certain area to do some recon or something, then I can do that. But generally, there's always a plan behind where I'm sending them, whether that's my idea or whether it's come from Octo.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty. I don't want to say it's scripted, but it kind of is.
There has to be a certain element of that, doesn't there? Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows certain things have got to happen to enable the story to move on or for the event to continue. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So you can stagnate otherwise, can't it? So we've experienced a couple of times before.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention
yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you need, if you've got a storyline-driven game, which most MilSims I would say are, there needs to be an element of, we need people here at that location doing something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Humongous wink.
First question
over there.
Question already coming from Harry. What's JTFOC?
Joint Task Force, officer in command, if you like.
Yeah.
The head honcho, the grand fromage, the big sausage of NATO forces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the multicam warriors.
That's it. There we go. Yeah.
How about you, Lance? Because obviously you've got quite a bit of experience running the old command team leader.
Yeah. The better your section commanders are, the easier it is for you. 100%. You know, and I mean that in the sense that no disrespect someone who's new to it, who's just thought, yeah, no, I fancy trying it out. That's different. But it's someone who's keen to do it, and then there's someone who really can't be bothered and just wants to go off and do their own thing. That makes it really difficult for you. But if you've got like solid, like if you've got 4 sections in the NATO side of, you know, forever, I mean, 4 10-man sections, you've got 40 guys that you're looking after, sort of thing, for the weekend. You've got four team leaders or section commanders, what you want to call them, and they're all sort of on point. And you're saying this is what we need to achieve, blah blah blah. You know, 9 times out of 10, they can sort of get into their own little 4-man meetup, have a little conflab, and sort of sort themselves out. Whereas you're overseeing the whole general thing, you need to say to you can just then leave it. You've got one sort of task and you can give to these 4 guys and say, right, get your teams out and do this, and it'd be like, okay, yeah, go and make it happen. Any problems, come back to me, and you can sort of then dictate and sort of chessboard it back from where you are. You know what I mean? But for me, it does come down to having experienced sort of team leaders who are willing to sort of show new guys who come to MilSim what to do, rather than sort of like shoehorning all the new guys into one little section. You know, get them all spread out, keep them all, and give them all sort of like an equal slice of the pie sort of thing. That's what I found. It runs a lot better that way, rather than having to concentrate on one team that's full of all new guys who's not done it before, who's got a new section commander that's quite overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? Because they're trying to compete with guys who've been to like 7 or 8 other events before, so they've got loads of experience in doing it, know what they're doing. They've probably met a few of the team's prior events, so they're not completely green to it, if you like. So, but for me, it's 100% is making sure you've got 4 or however many section commanders you've got, is that they're competent and they're sort of like they know what they're doing. And if they don't, or if they're unsure, having some people in that section who can sort of steer them and sort of offer some, you know, oi mate, you might want to be doing this, or let me give you a hand doing that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's really daunting. I mean, it was daunting the first time I done it. I was like, oh fucking hell, really? But then you've got loads of experienced guys around you that you can just ask, and you just sort of like sponge all the information out of them. Do you know what I mean? To help you along. So that's the best way to do it. But that's a MilSim crew. You know, we're all like that. We're all approachable. We're all helpful. No one's elitist. Never heard of it in my life.
So, okay, so like obviously we're sort of talking about responsibilities then. So what do we think like the responsibilities of the team leader commander element are? I mean, I guess we've already defined the fact like the command role is slightly different to like a squad lead, team lead type role. So let's break those 2 things down. So like as a command, so if you're running command for the whole faction, what do we think the responsibilities of that break down to?
Just making sure everyone's busy. Everyone's got something to do. Like Lance was saying, games can stagnate and people end up sitting around not doing anything, especially if you've got a set of people that are out there all the time and are close to objectives. You're always going to send them to those objectives. So I try and move everyone around, try to keep everyone moving. But it's just trying to keep everyone engaged and interested, because especially with some of the Octo games, you can go a couple of hours without doing anything, especially at the beginning of the weekends. A lot of it is storytelling, role playing. So you want to get the story up and running. So there's not necessarily any slinging of BBs for a couple of hours. So it's just trying to keep everyone engaged in the story, and just trying to and likewise when it starts going wrong, it's trying to keep them engaged as well. They don't want getting their heads down and stuff like that. You know, if there's an objective we can't take, and we point in fact, when you guys had that ridge at Battle Lakes, I think it was, we just couldn't assault you, and it was just frustrating, and I could hear it in the guys' voices, but there was just no way we could get through. So it was just trying to come up with new ideas, just try and keep them engaged, really.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Keeping the spirits up when things start going awry is for an overall host, for the lead team leader, the main team leader, if you like, for the NATO forces, or for any force really, for that matter. It doesn't matter, you know, for Op4 or anything like that. Making sure that everyone's where they should be, everyone's enjoying what they're doing, and keeping everyone busy. And it all comes back to, I've always said it, is making sure everyone gets the equal slice of the pie. Do you know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, because you're new, you're only doing this. You know, it's like, well, no, you're going to go out or not now. You're going to go and do this. It's just like, you know, everyone gets a turn. That's why I find that the tasking rotation, that 2 hour time slot, right? 2 hours you're on stag, 2 hours you're on combat patrol, 2 hours you're on top your mission tasking, you know, 2 hours your QRF. And then everyone does that, and there's no arguments then. Oh, well, he's done QRF. I've done QRF 3 times now. It's like there's no argument. You can't argue it because everybody does.
I've been on base stag for 3 days.
Yeah. I've been here for a week.
We did try that, and I found that it didn't particularly work with the way, not necessarily Octo runs, but just the way the game was playing. We were having too many objectives that were needed taking. But
that's the thing.
To have people sat on QRF, so you effectively got 2 squads not doing anything. You've got one on QRF and one on base defense. So you've only really got 2 squads that are out there, and then trying to get them back and swap them all around. So you end up sending the QRF out to do an objective.
Yeah, it can be tough, mate. Sometimes, like you say, it doesn't work, but then you sort of have to ad lib and sort of like change it around on site and to make, like you say, to make it work, to make the game work. It can go in any different direction.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and it all depends on numbers as well. You've got at the end of the day as well.
Yeah,
I think one thing that makes I know that sort of stag duty and stuff's generally quite a boring part of a MilSim, I would say, but I think there's an interesting element of if you can get the OP4, say you're playing like a NATO force or something like that, but if you can get your opposing force to at least probe your base every once in a while, you know, just get a little bit of contact going on. Because to me, there's no point, you know, having a team of people literally sit back guarding something for the sake of guarding it. You know, if you need like a little probing force or just something just to keep people busy.
That's why I quite like the idea of of having a set, which I'd like to introduce in future games, is where you've got like a stag rotation on at your fob or the mob or wherever it is, wherever you lay your harbour area, but then having a roaming patrol within that stag duty. So if you've got like a 10-man section on stag, you could have 5 guys covering all the arcs of the harbour area, and then have another 5 on like a 50-metre roaming patrol, like a secondary perimeter, doing a patrol, whether it's nighttime, daytime, or whenever, and then coming back in and switching out their marks and, you know, doing a little debrief to each other, having little micro section commanders, you know, your 2 fire teams, you've got 10-man, your 2 5-man, you've got 2 RC and section commander, you know, then to have a little conflab, right, let's switch it out now. Guys that are on stag, you can go out roaming patrol, covering that way, covering a little different grid perhaps, and then come back in. And that keeps minds occupied, you know, keeps people busy, especially if it's cold as well, you know, at least you're up moving about a bit.
Yeah. Definitely.
And keeping them engaged, sort of thing. That's something I've been thinking about, which I'd like to bring in. Something else to remember.
Okay, so from a team leader point of view, then let's go slightly lower than the Uber boss. Let's go down to like squad leaders and stuff like that. What are their responsibilities? Do they differ? I mean, I would say there's probably a welfare element involved in that one. Obviously, making sure you guys are. I mean, I've been a team leader 3 times of note. One of which went catastrophically wrong because my gun broke. So I just sent everyone off into the field and then was like, yeah, you go do that and I'll join you in a little bit. And they all died.
Half an hour.
But I know there was one particular event where one of the guys was suffering quite badly, not necessarily from dehydration per se, but he definitely hadn't drunk a lot of water. So it was like trying to make sure, right, okay, we've got to keep you going. Making sure everyone's sort of keeping well. But do you think there's any sort of other little elements? Like, what would you say is harder, like a squad lead or a team lead?
Mike?
I don't know. So with these boys up here, we swap around the team leader role or the squad leader role, sorry. Just because we don't necessarily have a leader, and we think it's a good idea to everyone brings something different to the party. So we've been swapping the team leaders around. Squad leaders for the last couple of games, and it's worked well so far. We've had Jay, how you doing? And
my guy,
and Charlie, and both boys have done really, really well, and they have bought different things. Yeah, there is a welfare element to it, definitely, and especially if you're out a lot. There's the fluid and food intake and the rest of it. Keeping their chins up as well. You know, when you're trying to take an objective and it's not going well, I think it was Terry said, people are sitting around for a while, they start switching off. So it's trying to keep them engaged, you know, watching their arcs, stuff like that. and listening to them as well. You know, just because you're the squad leader, it doesn't mean that you're right. So we have like a little bit of a Chinese parliament where everyone comes up with ideas, and then we roll with it and see how it goes. So yeah, so they do have a specific role, more looking after the section really.
It's a section, not a squad. Absolutely, Terry. God,
Apologies.
recce's. There's a lot of recce's and recons being thrown around this place tonight.
Yeah. Jay says, "I got a shout out. I feel famous. Cheers, my guy."
My guy. Yeah, like team leader, section commanders, whatnot. Personally, I think it can sometimes be slightly more difficult being a section because you're like Mike said, you know, you're not, you know, in the rear with the gear. You're actually out and about doing bits and bobs. So you're not only you sort of like remaining switched on for contacts and this, that, and the other. I mean, when I do it, I mean, I sort of run the comms myself as well. And Mike, you're the same, aren't you? You don't really have a radio op. You usually do it as well as team lead, which is what I do because I find that works for me. Rather than relaying something to someone to then relay it to someone else to get a response back to them to then tell me, I'd soon just go, you know, in the nicest possible way, bypass the monkey and go straight to the organ grinder. Yeah. I mean that the nicest possible way. not all radio ops are monkeys, by the way, or anything like that. But I find it's more intense. You've got very little time to sort of make a decision, especially if you're on the fire, if you like. So yeah, I find it's a more intensive role. I think the main OC role is more sort of mentally draining sort of thing, where you're sort of thinking, planning ahead sort of thing. But at the time when you're sort of section commander, sort of you're out in the field, sort of when you're getting engaged, this, that, and the other, you're sort of like the 3-4 foot in front of you, sort of thinking.
Yeah.
Whereas OC, and you're sort of thinking further down the line. Oh, in 2 hours' time, they're going to be rotating out to do this.
And
so
you're
I've got to
looking
make
at the
sure
rest of the sections as well.
Exactly
you're
that,
not
mate.
Just thinking about your 4 guys or however many is in your section.
That's it. It's unless you're on some sort of like big sort of multiple section attack where you've got like, you know, A, B, C, and D teams on either flank or whatnot, then, you know, there's a little bit of that may come into it for a section commander. But 9 times out of 10, you're looking after your little bubble guys. Like Mike said, I'm just echoing him. Their welfare, making sure they're enjoying it. Any queries or any problems like that, making sure that it's all getting voiced and it's getting fed back into the main OC. Who, and if it's a major problem with the actual game itself, then your OC is feeding it back to the event organizer to try and get it rectified. Do you know what I mean? As quickly as possible and without interrupting the game. You know, minimal disruption to the game as well is a big thing. But rarely encountered that, to be fair. But yeah, for a section commander, it's definitely making sure you guys are having a cracking time. Safety as well, you know. Make sure safety, everyone's squared away with their drinking, food, intake, this, that, and the other, meds, you know, all them bits and bobs. You know, just being brown owl out in the field for your lads, basically, and ladies, shall I say?
Yeah.
Yes.
See, that's while we're on that. So Andy actually asked the question: do you find in a squad or section it's best to have your SL with all the comms, or have the SL and a radio man? So I guess, from what you've just said, then you probably, if you're running a squad lead, you'd probably rather have, what we can't call it squad, section lead. I'm American, I can't help it.
Oh, here we go. Bloody plastic yank again.
If you've got your,
I'm American, don't you know? Can't you hear it in my voice?
If you've got your section lead, I'm guessing from what you're saying that it's kind of like it's better to have the comms on your section leader. But would you say that if you're running your whole command? Yeah, shut up.
Fighting words.
Would you say it's probably better if you're out running a whole command element? It might be better having a radio up. Like, I guess if you're fielding lots of conversations, like does that be beneficial?
From my point of view, so so something we started with JTF when I took over was not having a radio op. So previously there was one radio op for the whole of JTF. Now we've gone to different sections. The way I like to do it is the section leader and 2IC both run dual comms. So whether that's 2 radios or a single radio on dual channel or dual listening. And then I communicate with the radio op, and the radio op will speak to the section leader. With them both having my frequency, if one of them gets taken out, or if the squad split or the section split, then I've still got communication with one of them. They also have their own section frequency as well, which I have a separate radio for. So if I can't get them on command net, I can get them on their section net. So I end up with about 6 or 7 different radios, which is fun when they're all going off.
Oh, don't.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you get given an emergency one from the actual site itself, just for like any game stop. So you've got that to deal with, as well as all the other shit that you put on.
Yeah. But yeah, so from that point of view, from a JTF sort of point of view, I'd prefer to have a radio op that I talk to, and then the radio op talks to the section leader.
Mm-hmm.
But it works, it works differently. People do it differently.
Yeah, I mean, for events that I've done where I've been either like a section commander or the overall sort of OC sort of thing, if you like, it's normally been, for example, again, 4. If you've got 4 sections, you'll have one net for the team leaders, and then they'll have their own sort of like section channel, which then they can all just chat amongst themselves. Each team's got their own separate one individual. So you'll have one channel from the OC back to the 4 team leaders, and they'll all be on comms with each other. So the 4 sections can talk. The 4 section commanders can talk to each other as well as the OC. And then the actual within that element of each team, they'd have a sub channel, which would be the command net. So if anything did happen, one of the team could switch over to command net and say, "Oh, section commander's down. I'm taking the reins until he's back in," or whatnot. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's pretty much how it usually works. With unless the Bofang gremlin turns up and decides to fuck everyone's day with, I'm going to mess all your radios up today. It's like you literally turn up on Friday, get everything set up, good to go, and then whilst everyone's asleep, Bofang gremlin comes out the woods and starts going.
Yeah, well, they always work because we're all standing there. They only ever work because we're all standing within 10 meters of each other, testing them, going, "Yep, just this. You're picking me up, yeah, cool, right." Yeah,
there's me with my earmuffs on, being Mike, Mike, can you hear me?
I mean, we'll cover more of the radio stuff sort of in a little bit. But I mean, I guess it might also depend on how much actual radio chatter you've got going on. So if you've got quite a quiet game where it's kind of like the occasional dispersion of information and sort of picking stuff up to kind of coordinate, then you're probably not going to have too much radio chatter. But if you've got like a recon element, for example, that's feeding back intel or something like that, you don't want that channel cluttered with a whole load of stuff.
If you're in the UK, you'd have a recce element. So
yeah, exactly.
Christ, these radios work a long way away, don't they? You want a knuckle sandwich?
Right, so challenges. What are the challenges of being a team lead, squad lead, section commander? All those words, some of those words blended together.
Pick one of them.
Really angering Terry tonight, Mike. You are. That's either Mike. That's either.
I know. He's literally just shouting "Recce" at me now.
Recce. He's throwing things at his TV now. Recce.
Oh dear.
Challenges. Oof. Oh, it's all one big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, comms is a big issue generally. It doesn't matter where we're going. Like you say, with the best intention in the world, we'll set up our comms on a Friday night, and you can guarantee by game starts at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. By 9:30, we've already got issues.
Yeah, it just happens.
Which is why I have the fallback of having the squad net as well, or the section net. Sorry, Terry.
Terry. I can only apologise, Terry.
Yeah, it's trying to chat to people, and the comms break down, and sometimes we get a lot of backwards and forwards as well. So when where the way we work, we'll have certain code words for certain areas on the maps, and everyone will know them. Sometimes sending them backwards and forwards from one to another, and then they get to a point, and then you're sending them back to the one they've just left and just been sat at for half an hour guarding. And you can hear it in their voices when you're asking them to go back to the same point that they've just been to. You can hear it's like, oh, yeah, no worries, on way. Fucking brilliant. We've just left.
Yeah. It's when they forget to let go of the press when they go, "Can you not believe what that fucking dickhead's just asked?" Oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that as well.
You're at the other end going, "I heard that." Over.
Yeah, it's just keeping their heads up. It's like, I think it was at Battle Lakes as well when the rain came down. Just trying to keep everyone motivated. It's long. The weekends are long. I mean, it's only 8 hours that we're running around for. The guys are running around for. but it can be an intense 8 hours.
And it's not something that you do every day of the week, is it?
No,
it's every other month or something like that.
Mentally as well,
you get a burst of it. Exactly that, and when, like you said, rain and the weather, it just makes it much more difficult.
Yeah,
to keep spirits up as well as do what you're there to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking rain.
Jake sums up with that fucking rain.
Yeah, it was.
Rain is a bastard. That's what it is.
So in terms of some other challenges and stuff like that, like one of the so Jay's just come up and said, how do you deal with rogue sections who want to do their own thing?
I always give everyone a chance, and then to deal with that, I just bring them back to the fob and put them on stag until they realise that it's not all about them.
You punish them.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get that name for nothing. I've been punished for a lot of my life, so there's no reason why other people shouldn't be.
If other people are going to be miserable, then
yeah.
I don't see why you're having fun. Get back here. Be miserable with me.
It's hard when you've got people that want to go away and do their own thing. Like, especially with Octo, there's obviously a lot of role playing and story and getting involved in immersing yourself. It's that's what it's all about. It's 8 hours of immersion and joining in and getting involved. Sometimes there are elements that want to do their own things, and it's hard when you're commanding and you know that you've sent a section of 4 guys out with ARs, and then 10 minutes later a couple of them have come back, swapped out, picked up sniper rifles, and they've gone off and they're doing their own recce thing. And then you call up for that section and it's like, I need all 4 of you to go, and they're like, we're only 2 combat effective because the other 2 have dicked off and gone sniping or something. It's like, well,
that's the trouble, and it is a big problem. And it's not. And I get that people get excited and they want to go, oh, this would be awesome. But it's like, well, and that would be awesome for you, but you're now really fucking up something that's been put in place for a whole team of guys to go and do.
Yeah.
But you've sort of taken it upon yourself to think, well, this is going to make my weekend really, really great. And not thought, well, no, we're asked to do this. Let's go and do this because I'm sure they've got something lined up for us a little bit further down the road. Do you know what I mean? Everyone gets an equal slice of the pie. This is what people have got to remember. It's not just like, oh, let's see that, let's go and do it. It's like, well, no, because there's a reason you're being asked to do this, which will then further the story and make it better for you, as well as all the other guys that have signed on to the NATO or the Op4 side. It's not just like grab. If you see something, call it in, because I could call something into Mike. He said, "Christ, mate, I didn't even know about that." Yeah, go for it. Take your section off, branch out, go and do that. I can get another section in your spot to carry on doing that. It gives them something to do. Things like that. But don't just take it upon yourself to think, oh, fuck it, we're going to do that. Because that could just completely cock up a massive section of the game. And that's what you've got to deal with.
Let's be honest, we did that as part of the PMC on one of the last events that I went to.
Did we?
Yeah, well, we caused that freaking chaos at the end, if you remember.
Well, we're just guns. No, we're guns for hire, mate. We do what we're told. we go where the money is. Enough said.
Yeah, but we managed to sweet talk a few of the rebel forces to sneak us in, and then I think that was the second time I tried blowing you up, Mike, because I think the first time I just thrown the Mark V on the ground, expecting it to go off instantly, and I'm just standing there shouting at it, going, "Yeah!"
I think Mike was still sat at his desk finishing his tea when he just watching you like that. Then he just just got up and sort of nonchalantly walked out the fob.
But I mean, I know that whole for me, it was probably one of the best parts of that weekend. But it was where we sort of, I guess, almost snuck around the story a little bit. We had the 2 sort of suicide guys kind of going in, sort of trying to kill as many people as we could, and then sort of all the forces clustered on either side to take out the JTF.
That was a hard fought weekend across all sides. There was no, I mean, every contact that I got into was just hard. Oh, it was just so hard, really was.
Yeah,
it was a good weekend. I already enjoyed it. Had to be a little bit of skullduggery at the end, though. Come on,
always
can't be completely happy days, happy clappy, can it? It's got to be a bit of naughtiness. PMC, for fuck's sake.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. Otherwise, we'd still be in the army.
So it's another little challenge. How do you deal with people going home?
You can't stop them, can you? Thing is, the way I see it, people pay to come and play, and I find it quite difficult. when they want to, they want to run and gun and all the rest of it, and I'm telling them that they are, you need to sit down for half an hour at this point and guard it, and there's not going to be any gun time. And you can see it in their faces sometimes. It's like, well, I came to shoot, so I'm going to shoot, and I don't really care. And we've had people before just turn up and do their own thing. I've not heard from them on comms all weekend.
Yeah, big time.
And it just disrupts everything. But people going home, you can't stop them, can you?
I mean, and at the end of the day, you can say, "Oh, come on, have a sit down, give it half hour or whatever it is, and get back in there." But if someone's made his mind up, they're going to go home, then really, their head's not in it anyhow. So you might as well just, crew, you crack on, mate. You've paid the money; it's not my money. If you want to go, you go. If your attitude is, "Oh, it's not," blah blah blah, have a little whinge up and then just sod off. Not try and make the game better for yourself, or air your concerns, or air any issues you've had to get them sorted or rectified. And this is where it harks back to me. I've said it time and time again. If you've got a problem with the game or something that's happened during the game, say something when you're there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Come back to the safe zone, or come back to your fob, talk to your OC, talk to an organizer, say, look, mate, this has happened, or I don't like this. Is there anything that can be done? Rather than going home and then having a yump for a few hours and then jumping online and smashing the event to bits. Yeah, exactly. It's just because it doesn't help anyone. Because at the time, you've got some organizer sitting there at home now thinking he's had a great weekend. And he starts reading comments thinking, oh, me, I didn't even know about that. Why didn't they come and talk to me? And this is it. This is where it harks back to that. Talk to people. Talk. Best thing to do. But if you're going to go home, then fucking go home. Just make sure you do it quietly.
Yeah, I understand.
So the Panama says, does that tend to be newbies to MilSim who may or only ever played skirmishes before?
No, mate, far from it.
We've had certainly on JTF, we've had experienced MilSimmers go home halfway through because they've been shot a few times and they didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why we go there, isn't it? To get shot and shoot people. So if you don't like being shot, do better or go home.
Or go fishing instead.
Yeah.
Right.
Take up knitting.
Yeah. Well, it can be dangerous as well, though.
I like the fair weather airsofters who come out in all their really expensive gear and then go, nah, it's raining, I'm going home now.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay,
Well, no, wind's picking up.
Yeah. Not like Mike, though, who turns up to events to specifically hunt down bogs. In his Gucci kit and just go, fucking yes! Bang!
Cry or die. Okay.
That's it. That's a review we need of all of his kit following that event.
Is it bog proof?
Is it bog proof?
Some.
Mike's going to be our new Stig.
Stig of the bog.
We give it to Pete.
Oh dear. Tim says we had people on both sides doing that, going home and not understanding what an event is. Just got to accept it without talking to someone. It's about to, yeah. What? I didn't understand the last sentence. I got confused.
What about, mate. Say it again.
Andy says, isn't that all part of a MilSim though? Sometimes find the boring bits more fun. It was put on guard and we was nervy as hell for half hour, expecting to be jumped at any point. It was really good, but it was nothing half hour. Well, that's the thing. I mean, part of it sometimes is just getting to meet people, isn't it? It's just having that chat and it's that little bit of downtime.
Yeah. I mean, if you've thrown your heart and soul into the game, if you've gone out and when I run my little taskings, which I've openly said I've stolen completely from Legion Mike with the way he sorts his taskings out for 2 hours on, 2 hours off, blah blah blah, doing whatever. If you've done your combat patrol correctly, you've gone out, you've done this, you've done your mission tasking, whatever it is. So, I mean, there's nothing better than getting back and being on QRF or being on Stag because you think, Christ, I've got 2 hours now. Oh, fuck for that. You know what I mean? You can undo the cummerbund. Oh, let it relax. Let the food baby relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let it run free whilst you're on Stag. Something to rest your rifle on for a bit. And you enjoy the downtime. I mean, that's why I do it. But that's why I put a Stag in the QRF, because you can't have people going all day because they will literally run themselves into the ground. When quite some people are athletes that do airsoft. I'm certainly not. So I like to have a little rest now and again.
Yeah. But
sort of in my mind, I'm sort of doing something at the same time. So although you've got people coming back on QRF, there's a chance they can get called out, but there's also a good chance that they're going to be sat there ready to go, but then they're just resting. Do you know what I mean? Waiting, getting their energy levels back up, have a drink, have a bit of food, but they're still in the game. Do you know what I mean? There's still an element of the game. It's just like, right, you guys are out for an hour now, go and sit down over there behind the green netting and then come back in. They're still in the game.
Bit comes into it, isn't it?
That's it, mate. You're giving people rest without them knowing they're having rest. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're on Stag now, chaps. You take that as having a rest for a little bit. You know what I mean? You might get into a little contact at the place, but you're not going to be cutting about.
Don't they?
Exactly, mate. Yeah, but if people that go out on a patrol and do nothing, and then sort of take it upon themselves, they come back, that's boring, and you see it, and you just think, oh, mate, come on, it's like, come on, fucking do something. You know what I mean? It's like everyone else is.
Yeah.
Nah.
Fresh Meat says I have that problem. I just want to keep going and then burn out.
Fresh Meat needs to learn to keep his fucking mouth shut, and then I won't make him run up hills with an LMG fully kitted. That's what Fresh Meat needs to concentrate on for 2022.
Right, Charlie Gaines says we love Brewer.
Mr. Gaines, how are you doing, sir?
Big man.
So let's just quickly roll into the pros and cons of being like a command role or team leader. Like, what are the pros of taking that on as an event?
Pros of taking on team leader role?
Yeah, so say you rock up to an event and someone goes, do you want to be the team leader? What are the pros of doing that?
I think sense of satisfaction, if it goes well.
Yeah. Yeah, in the case of fuck it, I'm going home anyway.
Polar opposite if it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, sense of satisfaction if it's going well. You know, I mean, I do it at work anyhow, like team leader role at work, so it's sort of second nature, if you like. So I don't mind doing it. I quite like the challenge, especially if it's a new site where you've got to sort of like turn on the old map and compass a bit more. Well, not so much the compass, but the map. Let's be honest, they're not enormous sites that we play out most of the time.
No.
That would warrant a compass. You can normally see it fucking over there. But yeah, it's just good fun. I enjoy it. You know, sort of geeing people up. You know, I like sort of egging people on, standing behind them. Yeah, go and get shot in the face. I'll stay here.
And you get to see
someone else to do it as well.
Jay Barlow just says the power.
Yeah, there is that as well, obviously.
The power. That is it. He's just here. That's all you have to say, Jay. That's it, mate.
Power.
The power.
You go there, do that.
Yeah.
My God.
Do you guys get a bit of a buzz rocking up? Like, I mean, because obviously, most of the events I know that you two have done, from my perspective, you've been in that position, kind of like going into the event. So it's not like we're finding out on the day. Do you get like a little bit of a buzz going, oh, that's Mike. He's our team leader. Wow.
I literally, when I turn up to an event and I'm a pre-designated team leader, I literally feel like Arnie getting out the helicopter in Predator. Just boom. I don't. That's bullshit. But yeah, no, it's good fun.
There's no point in having power if you don't abuse it.
Yeah,
absolutely, mate. Yeah.
I think if people know you can do a good job as well, or a half decent job, they know that the weekend's going to go relatively okay.
And that's what we said. It all comes down to the team leader. The team leaders make it because they keep their guys occupied. They sort of execute the taskings that are given to them from on high, the head shed, if you like.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it. Do you know what I mean? You know, you can only piss with the cock you've got. That's what I say.
Cool. What are the cons then? What's the cons of what's the bad side of being team leader? What's the things that in your heart where you go, I don't really want to do that?
Listening to the whole team just moan. Especially when
and moaning, which won't achieve anything. I'll get people having a moan up, but when it's like a consistent drone,
yeah,
and you just like,
yeah. What do you want me to do about that? I can't. I'm not out on the ground. It's you guys that are out there. Do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
make it better.
If something isn't working, yeah. If something isn't working, try something else.
Yeah.
Don't keep trying the same thing and it not working.
That's it. That's the definition of madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Repeating the same thing and getting the same outcome or something like that. Yeah.
Expecting different results.
Expecting different results. Yeah.
Or to quote Lance, you can only piss with the cock you've got.
Absolutely. Yeah. What do you want me to do about it? What do you want me to do about it? That's all you've got to work with, mate.
Right, let's skip over onto a radio operator role then. So we've obviously kind of negated their use in squads.
Should we blast them? Do you want to blast through the chat? Is anyone?
Oh yeah, there was a few questions, but most of them, to be fair, kind of came into radio comms.
I know a fair few of them was just throwing abuse at you for your Yankisms.
Yeah, I know. Les says Reaper 1 don't have a team leader. We all work together as one, and we make it clear with what the objective is. So
yeah,
flowers in their
hair. Andy Bob says, "See, that's why being an idiot LMG gunner, we don't do our own thing. We just live by one rule: where we Bert." I know that's pronounced Bert.
Where we. Knuckle dragging LMG gunners
Yeah.
for the win.
And then these two are kind of more sort of comms related. So Nathan says, do you find a difference in running a 152 or something with a high powered antenna versus a Baofeng with a standard antenna?
Mike's your man because I've never run. Sorry, that Mike over there.
See,
I've not run 152, so I wouldn't have any comparison.
with Tomahawk, we run 152s. And as Baz will tell you, the internals on a 152 are exactly the same as the Baofangs.
Yeah, because the power output, there's not a great difference, is there? Mike,
No,
you looked that up, didn't you? I think
you can both get the same power. It's just how you wear the antennas, I guess. If you've only got a short stubby one, it's on the front of your rig, and whoever's behind you, you're trying to chat to. I found that the UV5Rs worked better at Battle Lakes than the 152s did, but flip side of that is I've had the 152s work better than the Baofangs. So it's horses for I don't know. It's why I take both really. I've got 11 UV5Rs and 2 152s that I take out. Not all at the same time, obviously.
I was literally about to say, are you fucking serious?
Just mad pouches full of antennas.
Christ, no wonder you've got no hair. Just glows at night time. Where's Mike Brewer?
An interesting point on the 152s, by the way, is that I don't know if anyone's seen this, but Baofeng have actually brought out their own 152 clone. So this is the Baofeng AR 152, and is no different as far as I can make out in the reviews to just being a Baofeng in a 152 case, but costs 150 odd quid. So
wow.
that's $127 without shipping.
Wow.
So is there any structural benefits of having it like that? Is there a better IP rating than a UV5R or anything like that?
As far as I'm aware, and I'm not an expert in this, so I can't necessarily be quoted, but as far as I'm aware, it's not really much different to a UV9R.
Right, okay, because that's what I've got, which apparently waterproof.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more waterproof.
Submerge it in a fishbowl waterproof, according to the photograph, but I haven't done that yet. I'm not likely
but
to
something to be aware of though is that if anyone's after that kind of 152 realism with the price tag of about 5 normal UV5Rs, then something to go for. So
I mean, I have to say, Adam touched on it. 152s, alley as fuck.
They look cool, don't get me, because it is it's the real stuff in it. Do you know what I mean? You got the Harris 152 or the Talis, whatever it is. It's the real kit. So you can't argue that. Can't argue that whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah, if you're going for immersion.
And I'm guessing with the 152, like the ones that you've got, Mike. I know we say that obviously like the power output and signal coverage. I'm guessing I'm no radio expert at all, so I'm just guessing here a little bit. Are very similar to the 5R or the 9R Baofeng from the 152. However, I'm guessing the 152 has got a better IP rating. It's probably a lot more durable. It's probably more resistant to dust and water ingress and things like that. It can probably be knocked about a bit more, as it is a proper bit of military radio equipment.
Yeah, and the connectors are a little bit more sturdy. They're military connectors. So
you've
got the 2-pin on the Baofeng. And it needs to come out a little bit, and you lose your ear or you lose your mic.
That's it. I mean, I found, especially on the 5R, I found that where you got the Kenwood 2-pin, if you bought like an aftermarket fist mic or you've bought like a Bowman headset for it, I found that the actual 2-pin plug, I've had to shave off a bit of the silicon mold each side of it for it to actually sit in. Because what you've got in a 5R, you've got the outer square bit, you've got the little dust cap, you can take that off. You've got an outer square bit, and then you've got like a little internal square bit as well, mold.
Yeah,
which the 2 pins click in, but it's so easy for them to disconnect. Unless maybe other people haven't noticed it, but I've certainly noticed it on nearly all of my comms kit for 5R.
Just pops out a little bit, doesn't it?
I've had to shave off either side of the little metal pins. I've had to shave down the black silicon so it pushes in that. It's about 2 or 3 mil. It's stopping it going in by, and once that's in there, then it's actually it's so much more reliable by doing that. But then the 9R, it's an external connection point. The 9R, you actually screw it. You've got like a 9-pin. Spade connector.
And it's got a little screw, isn't it?
Screw, and then you've got like a loose cord, and it's just like that's great all day long. It's so much easier to change it out and stuff. So I think it keeps the IP rating up by having that screw in to the side.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah. Fuck, who cares? Fuck.
I mean, who's going to get it wet anyway, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You got to be some. You got to be pretty fucking stupid to get one of them wet, you know. I mean, you'd have to be stuck in a bog for ages
I know, right?
to get that wet. You know? I actually think I could see your aerial there, Mike. Just there.
That probably is.
Even underwater, still maintain full comms.
And my gap was dry as well. It was held up like that.
Stop the bog jokes. No more bog jokes. Got to stop.
Yeah, sure.
That's right. Jay just says next October, boats and lakes. So
yeah,
there you go.
Mike's going to turn up fully submergible, like going to scoop, like Scuba Steve. He's going to turn up.
So, in terms of radio operator roles, what do we think the challenges of being a radio operator are?
Maintaining comms, you know.
Yeah.
Clear, concise instructions, sending and receiving. You know, making sure.
Oh, radio language is an absolute nightmare because everyone uses different things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we do try and use like not military VP, but as close to it as we can. And we use different terminology. So for objectives on maps, we don't use their actual name. We give them code names, so that if someone else gets hold of a radio, then they're not necessarily going to know where we're going.
That's sensible.
But the problem you get is if your radio operator gets taken out, which is why I have the section commander as well on SquadNet as well, or CommandNet rather.
Sorry, just keeping up with comments.
Like you say, it's just the communication backwards and forwards and Chinese whispers and everything else, isn't it? It's like you'll tell your radio op to some one thing, and the message that gets passed to the section commander is something completely different.
I mean, I think if you've got a new radio operator who wants to give it a crack, you know, have a go at it, just take your time, you know, clear and concise, you know, get whoever you've just spoken to repeat back what you've just told them, so you know they know what you know you've told them is right, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Just keep it really basic, keep it simple, you know, who you are, where you are, what's happened, what you want to do about it. Simple. Like, got to try and sound like an actual radio op military style. Do you know what I mean? You know, baby steps. Start off slow, build up.
Like Adam's just said there, it's the multitasking. So you know, you're probably one of the busiest guys in the section. You got so much going on and so much bandwidth, and not just on the radios. You know, you're in 3 places at once. So
exactly that, mate. As well as being a rifleman as well within the section.
Yeah, exactly,
so if you're in a contact, as well as talking to zero, relaying to your team leader, putting rounds down at the same time, you think, come on, give me a break.
Lot to be getting on with.
Yeah, but then you get shot and you think, fucking really? All these other people to shoot at. I've got shit to be doing.
See, I find doing radio op role is I've tried sort of having 2 earpieces in, because otherwise I can't hear what people are saying anyway. But then you've got 2 earpieces, you've got ambient noise that you're trying to actually listen to, but then also block out. And if you've got 2 people talking to you at the same time, my brain just turns to mush, and I end up just having to go, right, hang on, can't talk to you, I've got to talk to this one. So I genuinely struggle with running like two comms.
I mean, for me, I run the, but they're not sealed ear. Do you know what I mean? They're like a little in-ear sort of thing which hooks over. So I run 1 for zero, 1 for team comms. As a team leader out on the ground sort of thing. But as soon as we get into a contact and that just goes, team 1 comes out, because you're shouting and hollering. Yeah. And we've said that before about when you're getting hit, when you're getting shot at, but people are still going, they know where we are. And you're sort of like, I know they know where we are because they're fucking shooting us.
Why
are you whispering at me? You know what I mean? Stuff like trying to be, shh, they're fucking shooting us. Yes. You should be going, enemy, fucking there, shoot him, 600 yards, Johnny, get him.
Right. Where are we going? Sorry, I was reading comments and then
literally thought you just dropped your guts then. You're like that. You actually perched up on the chin because you went, all right.
The consummate
where are we going?
What are the responsibilities as a radio op? What do you think like the core responsibilities are? Obviously, clear, concise communications. One of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ensuring
That's
your
pretty
kit's
much
all
it.
squared away, good to go.
That's your one job
Mm.
is communications. I mean, it's not just your one job, but that's the one thing that you need to be good at or semi good at. You know, they don't have to like you said, Lance. You don't have to be professional. We're not looking for professional radio ops. But
That's it, exactly.
if you're given a message to pass on, then you know that message needs to be passed on. And if I'm calling you, you need to be answering me unless you're dead.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Or in a contact, but even then, it's just contact, wait out, and then I'll be like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, that's it.
I'll give you a shout when you're ready.
For a radio op as well, I think having a good understanding of the site.
Yeah.
Having a chance to sort of look over the map, whether it's like for an Octo game on the Friday evening, familiarise yourself with it unless you've been there before a few times and you're quite comfortable with that. And that's great. But yeah, knowing the map, obviously with your team leader, sort of agreeing, like when Mike said, you know, they use different coding for different objectives or different sections or areas or points of interest, understanding where they are and what they mean. And that'll only help onto, like you said, then for clear and concise communication. You know, unless you know those other little bits, that's not going to be clear and concise. You know, there's other little elements that you'll need to sort of have in your arsenal as a radio op.
Yeah.
And having a sort of, I suppose, having a little bit of knowledge with regard to the radio you're using. I mean, I'm certainly no expert with my bow fangs. I mean, I know I can change the frequency and set the squelch and that, but that's only from having Mr. Fraser on the team sort of showing us how to do it. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have had a Scooby, you know.
I literally created a full PDF of how to change your bow thing to the same settings so that everyone would turn up and it would all be done. And I sent it out 3 weeks before, and genuinely on the event, 5 minutes before we're due to start, I had 8 radios in front of me that I'm sitting there hurriedly programming to try and get them all onto the same thing.
So
as soon as there's one little issue in that someone's the one classic where someone's headset fell out and they start shouting at me because I've not programmed the radio right. Like, come on.
Really? Fucking what?
So I do a similar thing. So I make sure that all the UV5Rs and the 152s will work together, because obviously everyone's mostly we use 5Rs and 152s. So I go through, when I'm at home, I go through the settings to make sure that all the radios work with each other. I mean, you've got, you know, the DCSS and all of that lot. It only has to be one of them turned on and it's knackered.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but yeah, likewise, I get people on the Saturday morning go, oh, maybe that doesn't work. It's like,
oh, Papa.
Yeah. You've had the paperwork for weeks. You could have gone through it. To be fair, and in a lot of the guys' defenses, they have got better.
The best one for me is
mine haven't. I haven't at all. It just gets worse. At one point, I was doing Reapers as well. So like Reaper and Punishers both through the joint event. I had 2 fucking teams of radios.
The best one is when you get, oh, my battery's dead. It's like, so what? So the fucking game hasn't even started yet. So you've not even charged it up. It's like, sorry.
Yeah.
Naughty.
Just get like that, one out the pouch. Here you go.
A couple comments have come in. So Les said, worst thing is on a MilSim and someone has a jammer on the other team. I've not actually come across that myself. I've come across it that people are just spamming the frequency.
We've encountered it at APOC before. They had a jammer set up in the village. So as soon as you got into a certain proximity of the village, your comms just completely died. Nothing. Not even double clicking or anything on the radio. Absolutely radio blackout, which was frustrating to say the least. But on the flip side, I mean, I get it, but then I put myself in safety head on then and think, if someone's out at night and they fall or they lose track of their team and they fall, you know, they're trying to raise someone on comms, but their frequencies are jammed and they can't, you know, I'm just playing worst case scenario, you know, for God's sake, they can't speak or something. I don't know. They've had a reaction to something. They can't shout or whatever it could be. But to be able to raise someone on comms, but there's a jammer going on for the game element of it, I get.
If they can't speak, Lance, the radio is probably not going to help that.
No, but I mean, maybe I should reword that to shout. Perhaps they can't shout as much as they'd like to get attention or something like that. You know, I'm just playing devil's advocate. But
if only I have a radio.
Yeah, at least we could hear them sort of taking the last breaths.
Just they could play, you know, Radio FM and like
exactly,
just before they go.
But so radio jamming, like frequency jamming. I don't know. I'm on the fence with that one. Whether it's an element as such, I don't know. I don't know if it's required. really.
I mean, it's a realism, isn't it? But it's probably
It is a realism.
real realism.
I'm totally up for people like sort of obviously capture people, unless you've said, oh, my radio is now secured, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Super duper secret codes in there, so you can't get to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they haven't said that, then yeah, fair game. Oh, got your frequency. Have a little listen in. I'm all over that. Yeah, love that all day long. No, that's proper skullduggery. But I don't know about the jamming side of things. That's just frustrating.
Andy just made a good point on the chat, and Adam as well.
There we go. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, so StreamYard's got this new thing you can star comments, so I've got them all listed there, ready to go. But it means it takes away from the rest of the comments. So apologies for that. So you got Adam said the fun bit in setup is seeing how many official channels you accidentally stumble across, especially when you're on MOD base. Adam,
making
plus
goose
jammers are
noises.
illegal in the UK. Oh, there you go.
Didn't know that. Glad I haven't got one.
Well, I've never seen one, so I didn't even know that this was a thing until like literally somebody mentioned it. So, and he said it's a crime to use any apparatus, including jammers, for the purpose of deliberately interfering with wireless telegraphy radio communications in the UK. The maximum penalty is 2 years imprisonment. Blimey, can you imagine going to jail for being having a jammer on an airsoft site? What are you in for? Murder? No, I blocked someone's radio.
Yeah, so they couldn't take our fob.
James C.
Andy Bob, just like to add, Andy
Bob's
Bob's clearly ripped that off of Wikipedia.
Danny says, just got to pump up the jam, get the speaker pumping.
I think that's pump up the jam.
Yeah.
Nice.
I never understand what Danny means.
We don't want any pumming of the jam. Thank you.
You say that.
Have you tried it?
Adam Latchford said, biggest issue of being a radio op is multitasking. You've often got at least 2 different radios blaring away and your squad mates trying to banter with you. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like whenever you've got squad comms or anything like that, like I would say 50% of it is probably people playing music. And then just swearing at you down the radio. Yeah.
That's what we normally get. Right. Finished. We go and talking now like grown-ups.
Jade's bringing you armbands for the next event, Mike. So
lovely. Looking forward to that.
Got you covered there.
Lovely job.
Yeah,
do we all have to bring Michael a piece of inflatable apparatus to ensure his safety throughout this coming weekend?
Well, I'm not definitely going.
I think we should do that. I think everybody should bring Mike an inflatable of some description.
Yeah,
please do.
Keep him safe.
I'm a lonely man.
just be Mike. Just loads of pool noodles like mollied into his kit.
There's no room that's full of radios.
There's the pool noodle over the antenna.
Just stick through all the antennas. So going back to this was the AR-152 from Baofeng. James C says it's the same size as a Tri-152 but shittier. Jay says the battery life's much better on a 152. But Andy then came back in and said my extended battery on my Baofeng lasts a good 2 to 3 days of use before having to be charged. Still want a 152 though. So
yeah,
what is the battery life like on a 152?
Pretty decent. I think I nearly went the whole Octo weekend on a battery, and still had plenty left. But then saying that, the extended batteries on the 152s will last a weekend, so it's much of a muchness, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got an extended battery for my Baofeng for my 5R, which sees me for a weekend, but I'm yet to find extendable batteries for the 9R. Yeah. So if anyone knows where they are, tell me, because I can't.
I think it depends how much you use them as well, doesn't it? If you're using them all the time,
if it's a busy op and you're constantly on and off comms, then you are going to smash the battery a bit. But just don't answer people. Is what I do. Sorry, mate. Saving the battery. It's got to last me all weekend.
Oh, there's nothing worse than the Baofeng or whatever like that. When you're laying down, you're being super tactical, and then all of a sudden you just get low battery. Or someone's. See, I've pulled all those orange emergency buttons. I've ripped all them off and just put a bit of black tape over them, because there's nothing worse than laying there when you're
flashing at night
when you're on recon, and you go. You think fucking took me an hour and a half to crawl here.
Danny says spend all day at the fob, gets to go out and gets bogged in.
I see what you did there.
Nathan says, would you prefer an RO kitted out like a JTAC or an RO with a decent radio etiquette and clear comms? So I guess, would you rather have someone that looks the part or is the part?
Oh, Mike, that was
sex. I mean, I'm all for the aesthetics. I'm not going to lie. I do like a zesty looking man.
So you want a JTAC to stand there and just be like, I can't even speak English. I don't know what it's like.
Yeah. But you
Like
look
Jay
good.
just stand there going, "Yeah."
I don't know. There's a bit of middle ground, I think. To be fair, yeah. The idea is that we're supposed to be JTF, supposed to be special forces, so we want to look the part, but also there's no point in looking the part if you can't do the job.
You've got to have some sort of idea if you've got the gear, sort of thing. Yeah. Same. That's the same with our lot, really. I mean, fucking hell. It's hard enough to get my lot to go on the right side, to get on the right team, whether it's Op4 or Blue, or let alone whether they're correctly dressed to be a JTAC or
it's not
to
even
use
a joke.
radio. It's like, well, we're NATO. Oh, we're all signed on Taliban. Oh well, we'll fucking see you Sunday then at some point when it's finished. That's comical.
What else we got? Adam says they know where you are because you look like the gif of an owl with the antenna-like stick.
The gif of the owl. What is this gif of which you speak? The gif of the owl.
I'm not sure.
Googling that.
Abimbola, I apologise, mate, if I've mashed that.
Adex,
Abimbola says
one of my guys, our guys, their guys.
My guy.
Having a radio op depends on the size of the team. It works better with larger teams. Yeah, I can imagine it does. I mean, I think that's what we sort of briefly mentioned earlier, isn't it? The fact that if you've got a small squad, it's not much point having one or two people that they're sort of specifically doing radio ops.
And keeping your team comms to a minimum. You've got your own PRR if you like, but keeping that to a minimum. I mean, if you're in a section sort of thing, you're not too far apart. You know what I mean? Just be bantering away down a radio all day long. Just keep that to that low, little as possible, really.
Especially if you're moving into contact as well.
Adam says tactical pedalo. I'm loving this. It's just going to be like Mike.
There must be something down there. There's something for the flotation device.
Unit.
I can feel a competition coming on. No, Lance. There's no competition.
Andy says, as that's another thing which a lot of people have started to do, is that some of the frequencies you can use with the birthing, you should actually have a license to use. So I think we briefly covered this in our comms episode a while back, and we're going to be doing another one on comms. We've got a few people sort of lined up potentially to come in and have a chat with us about that. Yep. There's obviously certain frequencies that you can only use on the PMR channels. Which are like the less than half a watt, I believe. So the average UV5R kicks out about 5 watts ish, depending on what settings and stuff you've got them on.
I think it's either 1 watt or 5 watts.
Yeah, so there is there's the simple UK license that you can have, which is £75 for 5 years for like a team. So if anyone's got a team, it works out about 50p a year sometimes, depending on the numbers that you've got. So it's worth looking at. Because
we've got one just because I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Although, like everyone says in every single airsoft community, no one's ever been caught using a radio, and no one's ever been prosecuted. So, but there's always going to be that first time, isn't there?
I'm not sure. Would event organisers hold licensing for this at all for using?
I don't think so. No.
Bits and bobs. I don't know.
No.
Not a clue. I don't even know how they go about it. How would you police that? I have no idea.
Yeah,
I think they have like little detector things.
I'm expecting some little dude to be sitting like in a hedge. Like
I think that's how they do it. To be fair,
over there,
they drive around in their little black vans.
Yeah. Send the transit round the back, and we'll catch them at it on the radios.
Nathan says, anyone know where we can get legit extended UV5R batteries now?
My one's really good. I'll dig out a link and I will put it on our NoFo Facebook page, Nathan.
And Andy Bob did reply to that, Amazon.
Yeah, Andy said Amazon.
There you go. I think I got mine from eBay, if I'm honest. But I'll happily post a couple of pictures of my one I've got. I've had it for a couple of 3 years now, and it's been good as gold. So not overly expect that 15, 20 quid, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know what this comment in the nicest possible way. BVXP says vom and go.
I don't know who that is.
Only on a Tuesday.
Thanks for
that. Sorry, just flicking through. Danny says you look fit, Mike, regardless.
Which one?
That one. And regardless of what?
I'll let you have that, Mike.
What's the regardless though? Regardless of what?
I don't know. And Sean says, "Is it still a bad subject for you?"
What the Boggate?
I think we're still talking about Boggate, yeah.
Okay, still where is subject with you, Lance? I don't understand that, mate. Still where is subject with you? I don't know, Sean. You have to elaborate, mate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of riddles coming in tonight.
Oh, Jade says Gunman does. This is probably about the licenses. Gunman does. A few players do. I do. This thing. I mean, it's not really a ridiculous cost.
Good stuff. Jade's in our team. Radios everywhere. Fucking radios.
So I mean, it is worth looking into and doing potentially, but I agree with you in that it's very hard to kind of recommend something that if you're ever actually going to get held to. But yeah,
Adam Latchford. You're just walking through the Brecon Beacons and an unlicensed radio. Then one of the old TV licensed fans pops up over the hill in front of you. Could you imagine? You're in the back end of Beyond. Just some bloke gets out like that.
It'll be someone that talks like this as well. I'll be like, "Excuse me, can you just clarify your license, please?"
Yes. Hello, I'd like to make a complaint, please.
Sean says your team on the Taliban.
Oh,
it's still a bad subject for you. Gotcha.
Yes,
right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
These scoundrels. They're all right, mate. Not too bad. I forgave them in the end.
Danny says, "Mike, we're cheese brothers." Danny, I never understand what you're saying.
This is Croydon Hammond at his finest.
He's got worse though.
He's slowly getting worse. 2022 is just written off for him already. We need his own dictionary.
Google Translate does everything, all down to like Swahili, German, French, any language you want under the sun. I put whatever Danny says in there. It has no idea what he's saying.
Google translate this into Google Hammond.
Yeah. Oh, Longmore. All right, I get it now. Yeah, we are Danny. We're cheese brothers. I'm not going to elaborate. Harry says Gunmen have a license. We use all their channels. Other sites and events have licenses. Best to ask ahead, but a team license is good. So yeah, highly recommend that.
Yes, I think it's £85, isn't it, Mike? For
75.
75 for 5 years, yeah.
For 5 years. If you've got 7-man tier, whatever, it's not a lot of pennies to put in the pot, is it, chaps?
I mean, I find as well that I've got one. I've bought it with a team that we kind of play once, twice a year. But because I've got it, if anyone ever asks, well, have you got a license? Well, yeah, I do. I've got the license for whoever I'm playing with at that point. So, happy to cover. Except you, I don't like you. You're not under my license.
That's it, yeah.
Not you, Mike. Sorry. That was me just arbitrarily talking off to the left, and I just realised that you're on my left on the screen. Sorry.
It's very vicious.
Yeah.
Very touchy. Very touchy.
I'm so sorry.
What a lovely welcome to our guests you give.
That was the last time we had Mike on the show because he hates us.
Yeah.
Adam says, I like how you said about how you might do a comms dedicated stream. This hasn't turned into one, albeit with more swamp jokes. Yeah, so we did do like a proper comms challenge, like a comms skills and drills type thing previously, where I think we kind of went through stuff. We did a bit of research where we could. But we're not experts.
By no way is it techie or anything like that, Adam. It's it's just what bits and bobs we've got, headsets and this, that, and the other, and how we use and whether it's right or wrong, it works for us. Blah blah.
One guy had a right go at us on the.
Oh God, I got crucified. One guy. Oh, I like to make you aware of this, that, and the other. If you fucking hell, mate, I never said that. Why'd you neck in? We made it quite clear we weren't experts.
We're going to have someone. So our skills and drills episode for this year will be basically getting experts in their field to come in and talk to us and actually teach us about stuff. So we're going to be doing one on comms. And we might actually be running two because we've potentially got someone that actually does comms for the army, the proper military, to come in and talk to us. And then we've got
you say proper military, you said army in the same sentence then.
I'm not going to upset anybody else.
Mike's going to pick the shit out of everything you say now because you pointed at him aggressively. Just be mindful. Right?
Brandon, moving on. Brandon says, I don't think I know anyone that has ever got into hot water without having a license for their radio. Yeah, I've not come across it. It'll be interesting to see if anyone ever has, but I've never heard.
Mike got into cold water, but it weren't over a license. That's my input. That's it. No more. Done.
Jade says you can get a cheaper license for £25 if you do a few lessons.
Is that like ham radio we're talking? Or...
Yeah,
I
probably.
thought so, yeah, but the 75 is definitely easier.
That's quite cheap, £25. If that's correct, I'd be up for that. Mind you, the lessons are £150 each, and you've got to do 9 of them.
Andy says, "Oh, what, like a training lesson on how to talk on a radio sort of lesson, something like that." Yeah, it's a little bit up in the air at the moment, but we'll work something through. Harry says, on a £75 license, do you get a set of frequencies, or is it a permit to use whatever frequency you like? Yeah, so you basically get it's like a letter from Ofcom that comes through, and it gives you a variety of sort of bands that you can use within that.
Yeah.
There's a few, I think, in the UHF spectrum as well as VHF.
Yeah. It's like a bracket of frequencies that you can use.
Yeah. Although technically, I don't think you're going to use the CTCSS and stuff for those. I'm not 100% sure, but that's getting into a whole genre of conversation, which I really don't want to talk about tonight. Oh, it's still sore. Every time you go to change your radio, everyone's got freaking settings on there. Adam says, was lucky to get to be taught British Army comms. Shame the guy turned out to be a nonce.
Wow. Yeah, that is a shame. Yeah, terrible. That is.
Yeah. Jade says, Andy Bob, where and how you can use your radio license, really. If you want a lesson at Octo on radio etiquette, then do shout. Oh, there you go. Jade's going to give us all a lesson. That'd be awesome.
Brilliant.
Nice.
You'd much have a lesson from Jade rather than Adam's trainer.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to do the last few comments because we're going to call it a night. So I'm just going to pick a few. Brandon says, I sit in the pub, Nathan, and just type a frequency into radio and charge you a tenner.
Sounds good to me.
Right, sorry. Nathan said Brandon Clark sells dodgy radio licenses, by the way, if anyone wants one. And then he said, I sit in the pub and just type frequency. There
we go.
Lance looks fucking lost.
I'm in a bog. What do you expect?
Get out.
I need to get back to me wintry. Yeah, got Shrek. Get out, my bog.
Right, last one. Fresh Meat says, what kind of setup would you use to run twin radios? Sorry, I had to go sort out the kids.
So very quickly, I use earmores, and then I have just an earpiece in one ear. So I know if my right ear goes off, it's section comms, and if both ears go off, then it's everyone. But that's how I run my dual comms.
Good play. I run 2 radios with an earpiece over the earpiece in each ear. Prior to that, I didn't. But one for team, one for zero, if you like. Yeah. With a cheeky fist mic. I've got a Red Tevis fist mic. It's got the little 3.5mm jack, so you can run an earpiece from it. So you haven't got it bursting out the ear. Yeah. That's just a mic, basically. Yeah. Or you can have it as the loudspeaker as well, while you're unplugging. So yeah,
when I was running before, I was actually mostly in the fob for pretty much all the events. So I ended up just having 2 fist mics. Literally just
it works.
Easy peasy.
Whatever works, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice.
Just yeah. That's what he's all about, mate.
It was just fists and mic. There you go, job done.
just give me a whoopee blanket and fists, and I'm there.
Jay says tonight's been a great one, gents. Top choice of special guests. Make him a regular, my guy. There you go.
My guy.
And,
well, we might not get him back now because Mike's been aggressively pointing at him.
Yeah, so I'm really sorry.
There's a lot
have to see about that.
I'll chuck you some squish. I'll make it up to you.
Under my whoopee blanket.
Yeah, Adam says, enjoyed the stream, really nice listening, and hopefully have giving a laugh too. Hope to see you next time. Cool. Right, so we'll call it a day. Next week we have Terry Little from SEO coming in.
Yes, talk about the upcoming
event.
event.
Chat about them. They've got their new event coming up. I think that's this month. Next month.
It's
month
week
after.
Before the Legion. When's the Legion one? End of March.
End of March, yeah.
Is the MilSim, so it's the weekend prior to the Legion event, Gladius 5.
19th and 20th.
That's the one, yeah. The SEO MilSim. Yeah. So I'm excited.
So we're going to be having a chat with him, which would be cool.
Absolutely.
I can't make that one, unfortunately, but I think you're going, Lance.
I am. I've been given, ladies and gentlemen, big news. I've been given the green light to attend both events from the boss. So we thank Mrs. Wissell for her ongoing commitment to progressing my airsoft genius. Whatever that means. I did write something down, but it was I've left the paper downstairs. But there we go. Yeah, so I'm going to go. Hopefully, if I can get booked onto the Legion one, I probably won't be able to. It's sell out in seconds. It's what, 2 years? 2 years since we've had a MilSim there?
Yeah.
About that, isn't it?
I'm the same. If you can't get onto the Legion one, I'm definitely going to be doing one in March. So it might be the SEO one. So.
But yeah, so I'm desperate to do the SEO because I did the one at Imperium, which was fantastic. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it, playing an Octo role. So I'm really looking forward to doing this next one.
An Octo role?
Tag. The Octo, bloody I keep getting Octo and Op 4 mixed up. It's like fucking German infantry. I'm this podcast. I'm slowly developing a speech impediment for saying things.
But you look super JTAC, so that's fine.
Nice.
That's I'm now Croydon Hammond JTAC.
Yeah.
My guy.
Cool. Awesome. Right. So if you want to get in touch, you can feel free to do so at our email, which is nofochat@hotmail.com. Our Instagram is November_Foxtrot_Nofo. Facebook is at November Foxtrot Nofo. YouTube is www.youtube.com/c/November Foxtrot. And our website is www.novemberfoxtrot.co.uk. You can also contact us at lancelance.com, which takes you to our November Foxtrot website. We've also got the reviews. Go check those out. If anyone's got any comments, just chuck at us. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Mike, how to reach you, mate, as well, and obviously Team Tomahawk Instagram, all that business is.
Yeah, I'll put something up. It's all on there, and I can't remember it. So
read it out. Turn around and just read it out.
What does it
oh
say?
my god!
Come on, love, get your bins on.
So Facebook is at Team Tomahawk Tactical. Instagram is Team Tomahawk Tactical as well. So that's easy.
There you go.
Well, fuck me. What, you couldn't remember that?
All right, I've been at work since.
God, good job you weren't out in the field under pressure, Mike.
And we are recording.
Anyway, it's been awesome. It's been awesome to have you on, Pete. It's been great.
I've enjoyed it. It's been a laugh. Thank you for having me.
I just want to end
mate.
on a Jade's comment, which is enjoyed the stream, Bog.
Very good.
Boggy McBogface.
Right, say goodnight, lads.
Good night, lads.
Good night, lads.
See you later. Have a good one.
See you later.